Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic from the Capalaba lanes continues. It's a men's round 6 match between Fred Allsopp of New South Wales and Terry Wenban. Joining me in the commentary team is Steve Mackey and once again Jeanette Baker-Flynn. And Steve, Terry's coming off a 150-146 win over Barry McFarlane, and his confidence would be down a bit.
Yes, and he's made 2 radical changes. You can see there he doesn't have anything on his wrist anymore to keep the wrist firm, and he's also broken his wrist. He's cupped his wrist in the on the first ball. A couple of radical changes, Jeanette.
Well, what Terry's trying to do is worked out that side roll isn't going to give him the hit that he wants. He needs as much forward roll as possible, and by making those changes, he's not going to be lifting the ball with the fingers. It's just going to be all with the palm of the hand.
Nice view of it there, and he's kept the same ball as we saw in the first match. He changed to a 16-pound house ball to try and get the ball to go straight, but that time with the cupped wrist and so on, it's made it go straight into the 2-pin. Fred Allsopp now.
And Fred from New South Wales, he has a host of victories to his credit. He has a 300 high game, and he's bowled that 3 times. And we'll look forward to a good tournament from Fred Allsopp.
That's a great opening shot. It's a good morale booster to hit the pocket, even though it is a 7-pin. Fred's not one who usually worries about the 7-pin. We see the ball going down there, nice and straight, just a little bit of tail on the end, and leaving the 7-pin.
Yes, look at this one here. The 4-pin falls in the gutter and stays put. Just jumps around the back of the 7, but Fred incidentally carrying a real big average down at Balgala Bowl in Sydney. He's averaging about 216 or so in league there at the moment. So a very accomplished bowler is former state team captain.
And a comfortable spare there for Fred. That'll give him the confidence that he needs. He's the type of bowler who can just pick up 7-pin day after day. There it is, right in the middle of the pin. Great shot then by Fred. Whatever adjustment he saw, the pin leaving on the first lane, he's made it there, and it was a great shot. Nice stroke down early, through the ball, into the pocket. Never looked like leaving a 7-pin.
Yes, and what a good bowler to emulate is Fred also.
Terry Wenban also takes 24 national tournament wins into this tournament, so he'll be looking to make it 25. He was a member of the 1988 ABWA All-Star team and the 85 Pin Action Bowler of the Year.
That's speed, and that's the way to generate it. Good lesson there for young people and older people watching the game. He came off a 150, made 2 drastic changes. Big speed going down there. Look at those pins. One thing that Terry has done, and Fred has already shown us in the first couple of shots, is that they're both going out there with an aggressive attitude. They realise that the lane conditions here are tough, but they're made to be got, and they're the only ones that can do anything about it. The lane conditions are not going to change. They're going to be like this all the way through the tournament. And to win the $5,000 and maybe the Qantas trip to Las Vegas for the high roller tournament, they're going to have to do a bit of attacking rather than laying back and hoping the other one loses. They're going to have to win the matches.
Oh, that one went very, very heavy into the nose, leaving Terry the simple 6-10 spare on the right-hand side. There's obviously a slight variation between the 2 lanes. We see the ball picking up, and just going through the nose there. He's lucky that pin didn't come back and take them.
Well, Terry now moving way left on the approach. He's going to be really bending his wrist on this one. Keep it straight at the pins.
Oh, not quite straight enough, Steve. Chopping off that 6-pin off the 10.
Well, Fred just taking his time, as all good bowlers do when they have a key shot coming up. He's taking quite a lot of time to get his fingers set in the ball and looking for a double.
And he's got it. A nice way to do it as well.
Good round of applause from the Queensland spectators here as he lifts the ball out on the lane. That's what we've been suggesting that they could perhaps try, and that one, plenty of pin action. The 5, 6 and the 10, the last 3 to go. We'll have another look at it from our wonderful ground floor shot.
Here's his reaction. Lines up, waiting for it. There it is. He knows it's a good one. And Fred Allsopp looking good after 3 frames in the 1988 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. Now Fred Allsopp, he's on a double, looking to get a triple. Can he do it?
He can. A little bit of good fortune going his way, but now a big leader. Probably, well, 24 pins or so the difference between him and Terry Wenban. They've been around the traps in Sydney in the Grand Prix tournaments for a long time, and Terry Wenban, looking at that strike again on the replay machine before he got up to bowl, won't do his confidence too much good.
Terry really trying to beat the pins with power there. He's very, very strong in the wrists and arms, and sometimes is forced into a situation where he has to use that strength. But unfortunately, he just is losing a little bit there. He's getting plenty of speed, but not necessarily the accuracy. So we see him really push through the shot.
Cleans up the spare.
Yes, but only just, Chris. That was a tough spare to make, and the ladies in the audience there on Terry's side. Have a look at this one. These pins only just went. Oh, boy. Oh, he's cupped it even more this time, the wrist.
It works. Successful. A strike for Wenban. So he's hanging in there. And Fred Allsopp, you predicted at the beginning of this match, Steve, that he would take the game up to Terry and would be aggressive.
Yes, and he has been, and Terry has to get aggressive in return, and that was a great aggressive strike, Jeanette.
Oh, absolutely, Steve. Heaps of power, heaps of strength, and the accuracy that time, burying it into the pocket. There he is, very straight in the left knee, which means power and leverage.
Now, 3 strikes in a row from Fred Allsopp. Let's see if he can make it 4. Close, but not close enough.
Yes, once again crossing over to the New York side, which is the right-hand side of the head pin, but perhaps a little bit too far over as we watch the pin reaction. Head pin just taking out the 8 pin and consequently leaving him the 5 pin in the middle.
Yes, Fred pulling the ball inside that time instead of trusting the ball where he's been throwing it to the left. He dragged it right. Well, that's what pressure does to you in 10-pin bowling. But that's a better ball for the spare. Boy, if he bowled that one the first time, he'd have been looking at 4 strikes in a row, I'm sure. 33 pins the difference. 99 for Fred Allsopp on your screen, playing Terry Wenban, who has 66. What a stylist this man is. Look at that balance. Tremendous. Started bowling when he was 14 in Sydney, 30 years of age, married, and Geraldine just about to have their first child.
Nearly got lucky that time. A little bit high, trying very hard to get back into that pocket, and that time leaving the 2 pin as we see the ball going in very high and just ripping pins out all along the back row.
Yes, a sense of panic there. He seemed to drag it right again. That's 2 shots in a row. This match play style where they're bowling 2 frames at a time and then sitting down. It's best to try and keep a cool head. Terry Wenban now, after that spare by Fred Allsopp, will be looking to get a double to close the gap to a respectable 20-odd pins or so. That's always obtainable in the last frame, but if you're 30-plus pins behind going into the 10th frame, you're out of business. And Terry Wenban now will be hoping to capitalise on that 5th frame strike. Speed control here all important. We know the last time he came up on this lane, he bowled very, very quickly.
And again, I noticed that time he made a slight adjustment, moving a little bit further to the right, possibly looking for a little bit more oil to carry the ball down and therefore straighten a little bit. But again, he's left with those pins in the right-hand corner. Not a pretty sight sometimes.
Nevertheless, he doesn't have that back pin in the lead this time, so it's just a fraction easier to get.
Perfect cover that time by Terry Wenban in that spare, using all the pins and touching all the pins.
And despite the spare, Terry Wenban is still in a lot of trouble against Fred Allsopp, and he's down by 32 pins in the 1988 Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic. Terry Wenban is coming off a spare. Would dearly love a strike here to bridge that gap.
Yes, arguably he'd give his right arm for it.
Overcorrection that time. Again, with the speed, the accuracy could be one thing that falters. Light on the pocket.
Overcorrection. Have a look at it. He's just gone high on the other lane, and Jeanette said he overcorrected. And, oh, isn't that a common tendency in bowling?
Absolutely, Steve. First thing you do, irregardless of the difference between the pair, is to overcorrect. Fred will be looking again to get back in the pocket. He's using a very hard case ball, and perhaps that's the hardest thing to do, is to trust it on these conditions.
Yes, he just won $3,000 with this ball for a 300 game a little while back down at Balgowlah.
And a strike. One of his favourite balls, I'd say, after the 300. And a strike here, of course, a 300 in this tournament. A perfect game would get you a Samara Deluxe by Brock from Highway Auto Centre, Pacific Highway, Springwood in Queensland. Although he won't get it this match, he may in fact get it later on in the tournament.
Well, that'd be fantastic if he would do that, and he's just the man. What a great style he has. He's worked on this in the 16 odd years that he's been bowling. 3 times a perfect game shooter. His highest tournament winning average, 215. And his current league average around Sydney is 209, but of course he's bowling a little better than that in one of the centres.
Gave it plenty of room that time, perhaps just a little bit too much. Didn't want to take the risk of pulling it onto the nose or going on the New York side, the right-hand side of the head pin, leaving himself just the 2 pins. There we see the swing out, going down, not quite getting up enough for Fred to get the strike. Leaving his body open at the foul line, indicating that he was giving the ball more room.
Yeah, some interesting comments from Jeanette Baker-Flynn, and Jeanette, the only Australian ever to win the Bowling World Cup and the only person in the world to ever win the tournament in successive years.
Easy spare then by Fred. Got the ball down a little bit early and decided, I'll just let the lane convert the spare for me. Terry will be looking to really get a base now. He has to go from here.
Yes, if he does go all the way from here, as Jeanette said, 5 strikes will give him a 202 game, and that will keep Fred Allsopp on the wood.
High through the beak, leaving those 3 pins on the deck. He's disappointed with himself. He knows that there's a shot there. If he can just control his accuracy with that speed. Picking up revolutions, too high, far too high, leaving that clump of 3 pins.
Yes, well, we'll be able to talk to Terry, because he'll be back with us, I think, in the commentary position.
Lucky spare that time. Just tickling the front pin and using the kickbacks on the lanes to cause the reaction and convert the spare. As we see the ball just touch that front pin tickle, and off they go.
Yes, 22 inches separating the front and the back pin, and well, Terry Wenban now, 9th frame time for him. Taking a little extra time.
And it pays dividends with a strike.
A very nasty split that time by Fred. That is a pure definition of just lifting your head, not having much work on the ball, and just going straight through.
Jeanette, what do you do from here? Take 2 out, seeing you're a mile in front?
I would. I'd just take 2. I'd pick the side that I'm definitely sure of, that I can guarantee 2. There's no point in doing anything fantastic. If it happens, wonderful, but just make sure of 2 to be sure.
Yes, don't play heroics now. He can't afford to open this frame and the next, because that would give Terry Wenban a bit of a look in.
There it is. Fred Allsopp takes the 2 out. He is still a country mile in front in the Goldpin Coca-Cola Classic for 1988. 10th frame now in this match between Fred Allsopp and Terry Wenban. Allsopp now, all he has to do is close this frame, Steve, and he's home.
Yes, and he's looking up at the scorecard just to make sure precisely what he needs to do, and he doesn't want to do anything silly now. He doesn't want any sudden rush of blood to the head. Just stay cool and execute a shot.
Does it in the best way possible, a strike, and shuts out Terry Wenban.
How good it is to just get up there, swing the ball, freewheel it, and just let the revolution cause the pin reaction and get the strike.
Yes, and let's have another look at this strike. Oh, that was a good strike. That 6-pin hit the wall, took the 10-pin out. Good balance. Look at that for a pressure shot. Now, there's a man in control of the game.
Talking the pins over in the end there.
Yes, I think he said hit, meaning to hit the side wall and come off with that 10-pin. So that's a good win by Fred Allsopp in our first 200 game, Chris, I hope.
It's taken us 8 games to get it.
Not a problem for Fred this time. It's no concern. It's not as if he needed the double. He's got the game won.
An insurance broker. You could go to the bank on that one. Just needed to stay behind the foul line for a couple of shots, and look at that, well behind, about 5 inches, 4 or 5 inches perhaps behind the line when he let it go. .202, Chris.
Takes it away, our first 200 of the tournament so far. Bit of congratulations from Terry Wenban. I'm sure he'd like to finish off on a positive note, Jeanette.
Absolutely. The only way to finish, save a little bit of pride, I think. He's got room for 3 strikes there, and he'll go for them. One down, 2 to go.
Well predicted.
Well, there's no pressure on now, of course, and he will be quite annoyed with the severity of that shot right in the pocket, because he had 3 wayward shots there where he left the 3-6-10, the 3-6-9, and 3-6-9-10 on 3 consecutive shots.
A crossover to the Brooklyn side. That's 2 out of 3. Once again, as you say, when the game is over and you know you don't have a chance, it's amazing how those muscles in the arms and the legs can relax so much more, and that allows you to make a shot, whereas before you're trying so hard to make a good shot that those muscles are so tense.
A good finish there, but unfortunately Terry Wenban bows out. He's beaten by Fred Allsopp 202 to 191. So Terry Wenban bows out of the competition. $350 compliments of Coca-Cola, and he'll be joining us in the commentary team to tell us what went wrong. Fred Allsopp, he's the winner. He plays Gary Key, the 9th seed. Again, another New South Wales contest, and that continues in the 1988 Coca-Cola Classic here on Nine's Wide World of Sports.